Forgiveness. But before we getting started, apologies for the video yesterday. Apparently, I was running around like crazy. It's just how my mind works, and I need to be more static, I guess, for the viewer. But for me, it works best. My mind flows best when I was running around. So apologies if you watched the video. Forgiveness. The other day, I was helping a friend who had just gone through a breakup, and as always, there's a lot of baggage and emotions and suffering and reflection and then wrong conclusions, etc. And so while after we had worked kind of through that process, and like there's no failure in life, there's just learning. Every time we get challenged, we learn something. And so the worst is to look at it a failure. No, the worst is actually not even to learn something. Look at it as a failure and don't learn. Like whenever something doesn't work, we learn something. We learn something about ourselves. We learn something why it didn't work, and that is really our wisdom. If you read something in our book, we won't grasp it. I mean, we understand it intellectually, but we don't live it. It's like when our parents tell us, oh, you should or need to do this and this because I'm 20, 30 years older and I've been there and done that. It doesn't work, right? We make the same mistakes. And I mean, not saying that our parents have the answers, but just saying like with age, you've often gone through certain experience, and of course everybody looks at them differently. But that's why wisdom, which is really, how to steer your life, you can't just read books. You need to go practice. It's like you can't learn skiing or playing tennis or any sport or any, but just by reading books. Like you, medicine, a doctor, you reading books, but ultimately you need to work on a real person. It's not the same thing. Same thing with relationships. And so you go through and you have a failure, and that's fine, and you get up and learn and go through the next one. Every day in life the cards are passed out anew, and you have something you came with like from yesterday, but every day is a new day and you can do everything different. So when you go through such a difficult process, there's several stages, you things you want to go through. One is kind of what can you take away? Why didn't it work out? And you should never blame the other person, because basically what happens, and I talked about this in the other relationship video, that people bring their baggage into relationships, and then that just amplifies it. So when someone does something to you that's not nice, etc., you also need to understand why are you overreacting to it, and also why did the other person do it. So that's kind of the learning process. Rather than looking at a failure or the other person's fault, you want to learn, like, what can you do differently next time? And it's also understanding, like, the other person, like, why did that person do what they were doing? Maybe you did something that triggered them in turn. I mean, it's very complex because we're all trapped in our own mind, and whatever we see is just our perspective on things. And so if we want to progress, we need to seek truth. And truth is by getting out of our own head and trying to empathize with the other person. That's the first step. So learning and understanding the other perspective, and really also understanding why one gets hurt so easily. Why do you let another person hurt you so easily? Like, whether it's in a relationship or through a breakup, or someone does something or says something, like, why do you give another person that power over you? If someone says, oh, if something really rude, like, you look ugly, and well, that's just someone in a bad place telling you their opinion. You don't take any opinion for granted. So why are you getting insulted if someone tells you that? Like, you just smile and think like, okay, clearly this person has an issue, and you just move on. Like, it's not worth a second. The only thing, when someone says that to me, I look at a person and really try to see, like, what is their pain, because obviously that's an expression of pain. Someone that's in a good place doesn't attack other people this way or any other way. So once you have gone kind of through the learning process, then you should see a lot clearer and see more truth, and then you should go into the forgiveness stage, and that's the most powerful one. So here you really want to kind of close, rather than creating boundaries or blocking the person or not talking to person or deleting it, kind of the friend from Facebook and all of that. That is kind of building up barriers, not just to keep you away from the other person, but also around yourself. You're gonna make it harder for someone next enter to your life. You're closing effectively your heart, and that's just gonna setting you up for more suffering. So it's the exact opposite what you want. You want to clear out that situation, and you just want to open up and kind of both forgive and have actually compassion for the other person. And then that's going to lift you to another level. And so life is really always about us superseding ourselves, kind of moving upwards. We have to do better. You're only responsible for yourself. So you need to not control, but you need to kind of move up. You need to grow. Like similar as you grow in your professional life by getting better and moving up and getting promoted, you need to do the very same thing with your own behavior. You need to look at yourself and think like, what am I doing? What have I done wrong? Like you need to be self-critical, self-loving, but critical. Like look at the truth. What did you say? What maybe didn't you do? And what did you trigger in the other person? Or why maybe the other person was in another place? So like, and once you get to this higher level of understanding, then you're ready to kind of forgive and show compassion for the other people. Compassion for, we all have a history. We do things not because we consciously choose to be a bad person. Like it's born out of our life experiences that made us the person that we are. And the more we get up in our head, the more we look at the world. And I will do a separate video because I think that's something just that came to me the other day. And it's like, this is really one of the key problems. Like it's, our mind looks at the world as a scarcity. So if I take something away from you, you don't have it anymore. It's a zero-sum game type of thing. And that's how politics and everything plays out in life, right? If I build a house here, you can't build a house here. But actually, once you go into your inner wisdom, into your heart, love is really, there's abundance. We can all get to that higher state, and then there's no fighting, and we will get to that higher state. Like it's just needs a rise of consciousness. But coming back to the forgiveness, so once you have kind of found truth and kind of the learnings from that relationship, you want to close it and kind of like, but put it at peace and ease. And the way you do that is you forgive the other person for whatever you feel they have done. Hopefully by that time you already realize that it's not how it felt the moment you broke up. And so you forgive and you're compassionate for them, and you wish them well. And the most powerful way to do that is kind of go into a meditation, and you kind of take like if you really want to do it full on, and it's extremely powerful, you take kind of like a spiritual like background type of music, like this Om type of music. You go into a meditation pose, or you can be sitting, but I like to do it like in a lotus position, and then you just close your eyes and you just go deep, and you start sending love to everything, to all the people. You start with your family and friends, and then all the people in the world, and you kind of really visualize it. So there's love and love and love, and then you're go into gratitude. You're just thankful for all the things you have, that you have 2 legs and 2 arms, and that you can watch this video, and that you can pay your rent, and go out and have fun, and all those things. Like we take them for granted, but we shouldn't. Because they can be taken away from us, and many people don't have them. And then you kind of picture your ex in front of you, and sitting in a lotus position in front of you, and you send him or her, you forgive him for the things that he apparently did, and you show compassion, and you give that person a hug, and you really give him a tight hug, and you really mean it. It's not just, oh yeah, I forgive you. No, you really forgive, and you let go, and you will never ever blame that person for anything. You just close that chapter, but in total peace. And then you go into love for everything again. You're sending love to him or her and everyone and everything, and then you go really deep and are thankful for everything you got, and that you had a chance to experience this and learn from it. So now your next relationship, you will show up better, and you will attract a better person for you, and the mistakes you made last time you won't make anymore. You might make other ones, but so you need to move up, and you do that by forgiving and being compassionate with the other person and with you as well, and with everything. And then you close that chapter, are thankful for your incredible life and what you can make of it, and life will never be the same again. Thank you.